My guest today is Dr. Douglas Estrada. Dr. Estrada is a regenerative medicine expert and creator of Silver Scrubs, antimicrobial medical apparel made with materials that provide shielding from EMFs, electromagnetic fields. He's on a mission to raise awareness about health effects due to electromagnetic field exposure, especially for healthcare workers who he says are surrounded by radiation, wireless technologies, and stress all day long in their workplace. Welcome to my show, Dr. Estrada.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Thank you for that intro.
So, you're a long and lengthy background in terms of your expertise and your medical expertise. So I skipped over a lot of your technical background with the medicine and how you came to this. We'll get to how you did come to this, but real quick for listeners who don't know the term EMF, or they've been so misinformed by all the nonsense out there, and there's a lot of it. What's an EMF and what are the potential health effects?
Sure. So EMF typically stands for electromagnetic fields or electromagnetic frequencies. So when you're talking about the fields that we're in, that's basically what we're swimming in every day. So if you pull up your Bluetooth or even your Wi-Fi settings on your phone, for example, anywhere from like 5 to a dozen frequencies come up. And these are frequencies that are literally just in the environment constantly. So us as, big organisms, we don't necessarily feel it 1 second to the next. We don't really feel sort of the effects in real time. What we do feel is over time, cellular stress. We have cellular inflammation. People will typically, who are more sensitive than others, and everyone's a little bit more sensitive than others, but generally there will be some fatigue, insomnia, sort of this constant awareness of sympathetic response, which means basically like fight or flight. It can cause a subtle fight or flight instinct all the time, all day long. And that is, a place where we don't necessarily rest and recover. It certainly can affect our sleep and our recovery as far as, when we get our deepest sleep, that's when really we're regenerating. That's when our hormones reset and regenerate. So our hormones are greatly affected by EMFs over time, especially at night when you have Wi-Fi and you have your phone near your head or near your body. And it is sort of distant dependent. So the further you are away from that source, the less it can affect you to a degree. But again, you are swimming in it constantly. So whether you put it on, your neighbors do, yes.
So I'm just imagining now that you framed it, how we're swimming in this soup of stuff, like I'm a whale in the ocean and someone's got sonar and I can hear it and it's bugging me because there's nothing in my ocean. Did you at work, how'd you come about to recognizing this, being aware of it, doing something about it? Were you at work in the hospital, started to feel sick and go, man, I go home, I feel better. I go to work, I'm surrounded by this stuff. And then you go to figure out it's EMFs and that's the problem when you do something about it.
Yeah, well, so it's a combination of things. So I'm a naturopathic doctor by training. So, we learn a lot of environmental medicine in our studies. It's a 4-year doctorate program that sort of parallels the MD program. But then we learn, about a million other things. We learn about environmental toxicity. We learn about like a lot of infectious things. We learn about herbs and physical medicine and all kinds of things like that. But when it comes to environmental medicine, we are so inundated with all of these things that, I learned that I was very sensitive to it. And when I was, sleeping with my Wi-Fi off, for example, I would study better. I would wake up more refreshed, and that was part of it. I've always been very empathic and very sensitive. So I'm sort of a canary anyway. When I got really, I actually got mold toxic, kind of in the first early days of the 2020 lockdowns. And everyone was shut down, and people weren't really opening up. Everyone was kind of scared to go outdoors. Well, I was living near the ocean, near the beach in Leucadia, which is like in Encinitas, California. And everywhere got moldy. I mean, it got super humid, super moldy. And I actually had a car accident. Someone rear-ended me on my way to a house call. I was doing a house visit, doing some IVs during that time. People were very scared to go out. So there was a lot of concierge medicine sort of that fruited out of that. But after I got a whiplash concussion because I got rear-ended really badly, I was kind of okay. I had a lot of sort of the adrenaline, the epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline going, and I finished my day, went back home, and crashed at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. This was like 6 in the morning when it happened. I crashed and I woke up the next day and I couldn't think. I knew exactly what had happened. The mold that I was exposed to now crossed into my blood-brain barrier, crossed the blood-brain barrier, and now I was foggy. I called off all of my appointments for about the next 3 weeks. And then since that time, I ended up getting more and more sensitive. So when people were, there's a lot of cell phones around me, and where there was conferences or concerts, I would get more and more toxic. I would just feel ill, like I would get nausea. I would just never really feel well. And I realized once I started wearing EMF blocking clothing, so I would wear shirts. You can get underwears and shirts. There's a lot of different companies out there, making some traction. And I would feel better. I would sleep better. I would wear them to sleep. Regardless of where I was, I would kind of wear them under my clothing all the time.
Hmm.
And so I was working in different clinics. I was working 3 different jobs once I got kind of out of that mold toxicity, repaired myself, I was able to start getting back to work. And then it was just uber sensitive to everything. So I couldn't really function without my EMF blocking clothing. And it made all the difference to me.
And basically, the silver scrubs that you sell now, that was a evolution of what you literally would wear to work.
Exactly. Exactly. So I would wear the shirts because I needed to. I mean, I would be more functional. I literally would feel so much better. I had energy and focus. And then I wear the scrubs on top of it. So it was always two different garments, and I would wear, and no one really had any pants. So I would just wear underwear, which
Nobody knew that you were a little crazy, so to speak.
yeah, yeah, so you get your tinfoil hat, but you wear it under, so no one really sees it. So it's kind of like that. But out of that, and I was working with my business partner. So I'm co-founder. I have a partner that helped me develop the product line, and he's got a lot of experience going in and out of China. So we were able to kind of work with the factories and that kind of thing. But we were talking one day. We were making hats first. We started making hats, and because hats are really cool. They're easy. I love to protect my brain. I also did a deep study in functional neurology. So like the brain and the central nervous system is very important. And
Well,
I know that
let's when we're on topic of hats, which means literally you wear a tinfoil hat.
it's silver, but yes, it's the equivalent because it blocks out sort of like those rays, that when we're talking
Yeah.
about why would you wear that? Well, you're blocking out the rays of the frequencies, and it's a broad range. I mean, you're talking about 5G. It's a very broad range of frequencies. It's not one band. It can go up to 60 gigahertz, so there's this huge.
So there's the simple like tinfoil, literally solid material, which for those not familiar with the physics, all this radiation follows the same principles of visible light. So if you could see light, you want to block it, tinfoil blocks it pretty well, reflects it basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
But where I'm going with this tinfoil thing, it's a question, it's a conundrum for me, is while that would reflect some stuff, it also is an antenna, literally, as well, right? The fact if you have a piece of metal, it acts as an antenna for the low frequency stuff like power line, electric fields from electric power, from wires in the walls and stuff. How does what's your comment on that? My concern, like, well, I am shielded from maybe the Wi-Fi. I'm also an antenna for other types of field at the same time. One better than the other, or what's your comment on that?
Well, it depends on the fields that you're in, but generally speaking, it works like to kind of ground you. So if you're touching the ground, or even if you have rubber soles, it attenuates, meaning sort of balance, not balances, but it reduces the signal. So there is some reflection to it. Also spreads the signal very wide, so very quickly and wide. So it's kind of like it degrades the signal very, very quickly.
Oh, when you said rubber shoes, I hadn't thought of that. You would be insulated from the ground. So you would be more of an antenna because you're not grounded. To which, have you ever thought about you can't do it on your car, drag a chain, it'll start a fire, and you might trip over it like shoelaces, silver shoelaces, where you're not wearing rubber. You probably don't. Do you wear rubber? Do you wear rubber to ground yourself at work? What kind of shoes do you wear?
Yeah, so I work barefooted actually, or in socks.
Oh,
So I actually converted. I have a
there
house
you
that I
go.
converted into a clinic, and so it's very like EMF safe. I mean, there's still EMF. We have Wi-Fi, we have devices and stuff like that. But I also have my EMF blankets in house, so people will cover up with them. If there's any sort of concern.
Barefoot. I love it.
It is conductive, but it spreads the signal so wide and so quickly that it doesn't do as much harm. So when you're actually testing direct, radiation through it, to your point, it blocks 99.9% of most of the frequencies, and it goes down to like 99.67, at the higher frequencies.
Well, is it because it's a fabric? It's not a solid tin foil. It's like a screen, like an aluminum screen.
Yeah, so it's a loomed fabric, right? So it actually has like the silver bound around the fibers. So it's like coiled around the
So
fiber.
it's like a microwave oven. I mean, not in a bad way, in a good way. You can look at your food cooking in a microwave oven. You can look through the door, right? And I always wondered, how does the microwaves not come out and get your eyeballs? Because when we were kids, it would say, don't look at the microwave. It turns out it's the size of the holes in the screen, just the right size, that the wave can't fit through the hole. So what you're describing is you have a fabric that you made that's designed for a certain spectrum of waves that can't get through the holes. But that's how the microwaves work.
That's the other portion is that it's a actual grid. It's a physical grid as well as, the effect of the conductivity of spreading and what's called attenuation of the signal.
Hmm. I interrupted you at the hat. Tell me what else you got. Then you have the scrubs.
Yeah. Well, I love the hat because it makes me think so much more clearly. It actually cools
Mm.
down the brain, and that's kind of the mo more common thing when people try it. We've done some conferences and we've just got some demos, and so we're like, hey, doing a evaluation. What are you feeling in your head? Most people don't check in because we're sort of like that frog in the boiling water. We don't realize it because every day it's just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, versus jumping in the hot water. Well, that's really hot. But if you're just slowly cranking up.
So do you tell your people, your clients, your people who buy the product, by the way, you cannot wear your Bluetooth wireless earbud under your tin hat.
You ought not. You ought not wear it. Yeah. Essentially, you're kind of trapping it inwards, right? You don't want it to
Exactly.
pull it
Then it's
back.
going to bounce around inside your hat, bounce off your head. It can't get out. It's like the microwave oven again. Do people get that? Are they clear on that? You can't wear your phone in your pocket if you have the silver scrubs because again, then you're blocking that phone inside next to your body, right? It can't get out.
Well, the inner lining will have it, right? So you're still blocking yourself away from it. So anywhere where there's like a hole or seepage, you're going to have sort of that field effect. It will come out, but it'll be much weaker than if you had it fully exposed. So in your pocket, like sometimes the phone will actually go to 1 bar, sometimes it'll go to 0 bars, but
Right.
uh,
But then if it's doing that, then it's your phone's going to try to put off more power. It's going to be more harmful to you. What I'm saying is you shouldn't have your phone in your pocket if you're wearing this stuff, right?
generally speaking, you shouldn't have your phone near your vital organs, your sex organs, your testes or your ovaries or your breasts. Women a lot of times at the gym they'll have that like right there in their breast pocket, and it's very, very sensitive tissue. And what I was saying before is like when people wear that hat, there's this cooling effect, right? The same happens when you wear it on your body. There's this cooling effect. There's this just like this less buzz that allows
Oh,
your body.
because it's a mesh too. It's not solid. So there's air movement because it's some kind of mesh material.
Well, it's breathable. Yeah.
Breathable, yeah.
Yeah, so but it's still, I mean, it's still a scrub, so it's an industrious product. I mean, it's a very sturdy fabric. It has to be, right, for blood products and how many times you have to wash it and all that kind of stuff. As far as the scrubs, but yeah, the mesh it's really cooling. It's really nice when people they check in and do that sort of. Hey, yeah, I didn't realize there was like a little pain or a little warmth. They put the hat on and it's like it's just like literally the sigh of relief that happens.
So tell me, do you have any other colleagues in the healthcare industry that are wearing these to hospitals that we can't tell because they've got their regular scrubs over the silver scrubs?
We have a few, so we put out a few dozen scrubs on our first set. Right now, we're finalizing a 2.0 fabric, and that should be out hopefully in the next 45 days. So we're taking pre-orders for that now. We wanted to really perfect the product. But we do have a lot of people wearing our hats. Our blankets have made it into clinics. We've done some bulk orders for people who see a lot of patients, and people are loving all that as well so far. We also have the cell phone pouches as well. So some people, if they don't want to wear the full body suit, you can put it in your pouch and put that in your pocket. And so long as you leave a little bit of seepage, it's greatly reduced compared to what it would be
I'm
otherwise.
not following the seepage thing. It seems like you're saying it's still okay to have your phone on you if you wear one of these.
You're going to be affected if the phone is on. And if you're wearing a pouch, maybe I could just pull up the pouch. I have
Oh,
to,
even if the phone is off. I learned this with my climbing, where I never took my phone before, but with the new satellite capability, it's actually kind of useful if you need an emergency. Then my battery went down, even with my phone off, because phones have this find my phone thing in case you lose your phone.
which works for many months after it dies,
Yeah, well,
even.
you literally can't just turn off your phone. You have to enter the password and make sure you shut all that down every single time you turn your phone off. And even then, kind of really, I think the only way to know would be to measure it, test the phone with it off. But anywho, just turning your phones off, not enough is what I'm telling you. And go ahead.
Well, I think to your point, you can't necessarily escape it, so it's sort of like arm yourself if you can to the best of your ability. I mean, protect that which is most important, which I would say certainly your brain, and your vital tissue, your organs, your lungs, your liver, your heart,
Oh,
your
but we were on the topic of if you have your phone on you and you put the silver scrub on, now you're trapping radiation inside you. I wasn't clear on what you were saying about that.
Oh, well, you're not trapping it, at least not with our product, because there's a layer, that's where I guess the term seepage would come in. So if it's in your pocket and the whole pocket is lined, right? So it's a Faraday pocket, essentially. It's a Faraday cage it's a fabric. Anywhere where there's not complete coverage, like 360, like an orb coverage of that, there's going to be seepage. So if you think about like a torus, if you look at the field, so something that's creating a field has like a kind of like a donut, this field that goes in 360 degrees, kind of like a donut,
Yep.
right? A phone has that sort of field, right? And anywhere where you kind of shut it down, well, a little bit will come out. So it'll be a smaller field effect, so like literally the bars will go low. The actual intensity of that, if you measured it with the EMF meter, will actually go down.
I kind of lost you again with the I know what the Faraday cage is. How I can't get a picture of your silver scrub when you're speaking about this where the phone is relative to your silver scrub. Does your silver scrub have a pouch you put your phone in?
The whole thing is lined with the silver. So if you put it in your pocket, it will be in a little pouch, basically. The pocket creates the little pouch.
Oh,
So
you mean wearing the silver scrub, you're saying is the pouch.
the silver scrubs, the whole thing is made with the silver lining. So if you put it in your
So
pocket,
I have my phone in my pocket, my jeans, let's say, and now I wear the silver scrub over my as like a shirt or pants, right?
yeah, if you're wearing it over it, yeah, you're trapping it on the inside.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, yeah, but you're wearing it under it, right? You're wearing the scrub under it so that the phone
Oh,
is
oh, I see,
outside.
like underwear, literally.
Yeah, so instead of two different
Oh,
garments, the
okay.
whole pants is protected. Like you're protected anything beneath that.
Oh, I was imagining you're in as a doctor. Oh, right, it's underneath your regular scrubs. You got three layers of clothing,
The scrubs is it's one garment, right? So it's a silver line scrubs that is the protective layer. So instead of like before I was wearing
like pajamas. So
the
it's kind of like
garment,
pajamas.
it's a full on scrub set. Yeah. So I mean, people wear them like pajamas. You have people that kind of wore them, they wanted to just wear them around the house, because there are a lot of other, full body products like, that have pants and shirt. There's very limited
And then you put your regular pants on over.
if you want, but you don't have to because they're scrubs, they're functional. So you can go and go out in the
Well,
workforce.
nobody goes anywhere without their phone. So the fact is, they're going to have their phone. They're going to want a pocket, put it in, is what I'm getting at. So where do they put their phone?
Yeah, in their pocket, or they can get a pouch as well. So they can get the pouch, so it's an extra protective, Faraday sack, for their phone. But the pouch itself, like the pants, are lined with the silver, so it's always going to be
But so
protected.
why get the pouch? I'm being devil's advocate, like on your website, looking at the product. Why get the pouch if I've got the underwear or the suit? Or is it one or the other?
No, I mean the pouch is an extra layer. So for if you don't want to wear, your full body suit, let's say you have to go and wear something like, go out for a meeting or something like that, it's nice to have. I really recommend it around sleep because so many people wear their phones right near their heads or their brains because it's their alarm clock. So you can kind of cover it up, have it in the pouch, and really protect yourself from it being the little EMF bomb at night. but it's an extra layer. So, there's not everyone wants to wear scrubs, right? So there's not going to be, for every person. The scrubs is there's more of a, a demographic of the people working in hospitals, clinics, med spas, and anyone doing, massage, those kinds of things. Those are the big.
Say put it in a pouch. First comes to mind is why not just turn it off or put it away from the bed? But let's say you're parenting, you need to know where your teenager is, at midnight, so you can't do that. I think what a lot of people don't know is that technology-wise, the the people like Steve Jobs, for example, with the computers, he didn't care about how much power does my wireless mouse need? It doesn't need to go to Mars. He didn't care. So with the phones, they didn't really care anyhow, except for your battery life. So the reason you can put it in your pouch and it still works is the phones really don't need that much power to be used if you're at home normally. You're not on the freeway where there's not a tower for 20 miles. There's one probably on the street corner. So you can put it in the pouch and technically your phone will, like you said, you'll still get plenty of bars.
Yeah, you'll get some signal, but it itself becomes less powerful to you, right? It's less affecting your cells and your skin. So,
It's transmitting, receiving at the same power. So it's it's not really has anything to do with, you know, you getting it's just reducing the back to your Faraday cage example, keeping most of it in the box except for what leaks out and leaks in. Some has to leak in, the same amount has to leak out, otherwise the phone's not going to work.
sure. I mean, I think at the end of the day, the more coverage you have, the better. I mean, that's why we do the blankets, especially at night.
Hmm. So tell me about the blankets.
Sure. Yeah, we have a couple of sizes right now. We do we have a baby blanket that's got a little sort of hood in it, so you can wrap up the baby in a nice hood. And we have on our website, we have lots of pictures of it, silverscrubs.com, and you can go check out, all the blankets, the different sizes. We're making a larger blanket now too because of the demand for it. But people love it. It's basically a Faraday shield. You can wrap yourself in it. We've got people like in
Well, it's
big.
not a Faraday shield. You you said it leaks a little bit. A Faraday cage doesn't leak.
Yeah, well, it's like a fabric that you can use. So if you do wrap 100%, it becomes like a Faraday cage. But
You couldn't wrap 100% either because it's a screen. It's not solid. So only the frequencies that are blocked by that can't get through the holes won't get through the holes. Other frequencies will get through the holes. It would have to be a solid material to be a truly Faraday cage.
I mean, if you say so. There's also like the point of like when you test it, you can reduce it down to 99.999% when you talk about like how many decibels are getting through.
You put your EMF tester inside the blanket, I take it.
Yeah, you can do. We also have a third-party lab that tested it too. So we tested it out in a couple of different labs as well.
And your analogy, your story earlier is a great way for people to do this themselves. They can just put their phone under the blanket and they should see less bars, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. And you know what's interesting too, to the point of like things are getting stronger. The newer phones have a lot, they keep producing, and some of those will still produce signal beyond what you can kind of cover. It's a lot harder to cover them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. No matter what fabric you get, as long as it's based on the size of the hole, something's going to get through some frequency. It's not made for, you can't make it for all these frequencies.
You can't block 100% of it. That's for sure. There's something that's going to get through.
But if you take your phone and put it under the blanket, you should see less bars.
Yeah, you can get less bars. In the older phones, some of them will completely lose their signal.
Hmm. Have you ever, are you familiar with the grounding cloths? The people call them, I don't know what they call them, bed sheets that you sleep on, you plug into the outlet to lower EMFs. Are you familiar with those?
A little bit, yeah.
How's your blanket different from that? Because your blanket doesn't plug into something, you just wear it, right?
It doesn't plug in, so it's not essentially a grounding unit. It's not meant to go to a grounding cable all the way down to the earth. The grounding physically means like you're actually getting, connection with the earth and you're disseminating whatever signal through that. And theoretically, you're getting some ionic return too. You're getting some exchange, especially when you're barefoot on the earth.
That's a long 6 beer conversation. To prove it, there's no data on that. That's a philosophical. I agree with putting my feet on the grass works, measuring that scientifically. Yeah. The reason I asked is because those plugged into the ground, the idea is the ground voltage is zero. So your Faraday cage example, now you're technically laying on a zero plane of voltage, your low frequency voltage from your power, electrical power. That doesn't shield you from what your product does, the high frequency stuff. But on the flip side, it sounds like then you understand your product's not meant to shield from the power, the wires in the wall. It's to shield from the cell phones, the Wi-Fi, the high frequency stuff, right? So you would essentially need both if you really wanted to be fully covered. Or ground, someone would have to take a grounding clip and clip themselves to your blanket to get both, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, that's an interesting point. It'd be great if you could do both for sure, because anything that would come through would eventually just get, be lost through
I
you.
can see an easy way to get both.
Yeah.
People that have the grounding cloth already,
Hmm.
use the cord they already sold with that and attach it to one of your silver scrub blankets with just a little metal clippy.
But yeah, I mean, that it could be.
And now you're grounded.
Maybe we'll test that out.
You're both grounded and high frequency protection.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be a whole lot to weave to weave it in somehow, or just like you're saying, have a clip, something we could as an attachment do. That'd be interesting. Yeah, it would be very
Yeah, the
interesting.
old school way that I learned was you just go to the hardware store and you get a spool of cheap wire on a spool because you need like 50 feet of it. And then you just cut one end off, attach it to a tent stake, and take the other end, attach it to anything that you can metal, has to be metal, the wire, and attach that to your cloth. This is don't not the electrical outlet, people. It's hazardous. The
Yeah,
ground outside, the earth ground. You can't
got
go wrong if you put it in the ground tent stake. Don't mess around with the electricity, the wall outlet. It's dangerous.
yeah, yeah. Fair point. Well, it's interesting about like the ionic sort of, exchange, or at least the theory of that. When you're talking about like diabetic wounds, for example, that was one of the studies they did, was that diabetic wounds, it would not heal, and they were giving all these medications, and they had people stand outside barefoot 15 minutes a day, and their wounds would heal in a few weeks, where
What do
they
you
were
mean by ionic? What's ionic? What do you mean by that?
voltage, getting millivoltage potential, so increasing the voltage
Oh,
potential.
static electricity, I think was one of the idea when they said ionic. Like I'm building up charge, like my feet would go over the carpet and I get shocked when I touch the light switch because static electricity. Is that what you mean by ionic grounding?
I wouldn't say that it's a static, electricity that you're building, because it's not like you're creating friction. So like the people who are just barefoot on the ground and their wounds are healing, one of the reasons wounds don't heal is because there isn't enough millivoltage potential. There isn't, or there's an erratic amount of voltage around. You ever read the Body Electric?
25 years ago,
Yeah, so
20 years ago.
kind of a classic. Yeah, yeah, kind of a classic, right? But they talk about.
A classic in principle, not so much in data, but in principle. Very good, Phil. Like halfway there. Science to me is always people get beat up if they say science because people think it's truth, dogma, or philosophical. No, it's a study of. That book was more like in between. Not so much, not data heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. It was a really good a good eye opener, I think, for some just a really investigative process. It's like, oh, well, we look at it.
So back to diabetes, because that's a huge issue for, I'm staggered by how many people. I feel bad for the real ones. And the wounds, myself, I can speak to that. I've had, you're not going to believe this, blisters on the back of my feet from rock climbing that take 6 months to heal. If I get a blister hiking, 6 months. And I blame it on diabetics, but it's not true. I'm intrigued by this idea you say stand on the lawn helped people. Tell me about your study or your observation experience with that, helping people with wounds that need healing by just standing outside on the grass or the lawn or the park. Go to the city park.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really hard thing to quantify, I would say, but when people are doing it, they tend to get better. So I am a specialist in regenerative medicine. I highly work with a type of stem cell called very small embryonic-like stem cell or V cell. And so we see people heal faster with that. When they can do that and ground, I mean, they heal exponentially faster. So people who are doing it tend to heal faster. The diabetic wounds in those studies, they were healing way faster. And some, people would not heal at all until they started to do this. And so what's really happening, I think we haven't really fully quantified that. My theory is that there's, increase in electric potential, that you're actually increasing the millivoltage charge in that area. And maybe detoxing and maybe you're improving circulation at the same time as well. There's some,
Or getting outside.
or the fact that you're moving your body, getting outside, maybe getting fresh air and sunshine at the same time, I'm a big believer in the kind of the basics, getting, love, oxygen and water and sunshine,
And maybe to get there, you had to walk, which means a little exercise. There are a lot of variables there.
Sure, sure. And just doing something new. Like, why do people get on a new diet and they lose weight? Like something different. Now there's a focus on it, and they may plateau very quickly, or it may work, or it might be a fad that causes more damage.
Where, so maybe this will help us a little narrow down the variables. Do you know when you say people healed faster, did they just help people get outside? Was it on their own? Did they just literally have to go to the front door? Could they sit on the concrete porch or in the rocking chair out the front door? Were there any more specifics that you know of?
I tell people to get their barefoot on the dirt earth. I think, again, without quantifying a specific way, people get better. My patients generally all get better. And I'm a big believer, like I said, in the basics, getting sunshine, getting out, getting movement. I mean, movement to your point is really, really critical. Getting a focus on that. And they,
You know how often I go to City Park? I take my shoes off. The moment I leave the concrete, hit the grass.
good for you. Yeah.
I don't see I see very other few people do that. They'll be like avoiding the grass or their dog will be the one who's getting all the
Yeah.
fun stuff. Yeah.
And how happy is that dog?
Yeah. Yeah. You'll see him roll around the grass like I love the grass. What if it's
So
more than
good.
just loving
So
the
good.
grass?
Yeah, and people with their rubber soles going, blocking their conductivity.
Yeah. You were saying something before I interrupted.
Oh, so long as people are doing things, I mean, health and wellness it's kind of like happiness. It's kind of like the absolute value of all the variables, right? If you could kind of add up all of these things and you're generally, your emotional consciousness, you're kind of getting, maybe have released some of these emotionals or traumas and things that are, now running survivalistic programs. When you can release that, and people start to get better. When you get more love and more sunshine in, when you eat a little bit more clean, when you get clean, structured water in, you see everything starts to shift and add into your favor. And then there's this huge synergy that happens, just by having a little bit more attention and focus on these things and these micro habits that start to accumulate. These small things that overall make big, big swifts. And it's like I'm a big believer in free medicine, right? Go outside, that's free. For most people, like,
Yeah. I
oh,
like that term, free medicine, the sunshine, the fresh air.
yeah, and those are EMFs too, right? So there's electromagnetic fields too. So not all of them necessarily are quote unquote harmful, but I think the big harmfulness, the big damage comes from the erratic nature and the spikes. You get these spikes of radio frequencies, you get very erratic signaling, and cells kind of like predictability. People tend to heal better listening to Mozart and classical music. Why? Because maybe it's a neurological thing. It calms the brain and it gets the body more parasympathetic, so where you can start to regenerate, heal naturally. But there's also this predictability. When you talk about some of the studies they've done with like autism, for example, and listening to very structured music, well, these kids tend to get better. They have more social awareness. They're able to be touched more, play more, and stuff like that. Just being exposed to Mozart, right? So that's an electromagnetic frequency too, right? So there's there's these beautiful ones when they're structured, when they're
Sound is.
sound in order, organizes the tissue, organizes the brain, calms the nervous
Well,
system.
I want to sound in Mozart because I think that's great, listening to Mozart. Then a thought occurs to me, if you're going to do it right. So I see the guitars on your wall.
Mhm.
You'll probably get this. My nephew doesn't. So he's in college, young guy, and he thinks it's hip to buy vinyl, get some good quality analog, get the whole wave, old school radio.
Sure. Yeah.
Then he's using earbuds, wireless headphones, which means when cell phones came out, there was this theory that one of the reasons it's causing harm versus the old school radio so much is Old school radio was literally a wave that you put out just like a speaker makes vibrations. Digital stuff, as you mentioned, is pulsing. It's ones and zeros on and off. And you can never get it to be smooth no matter how much your data rate is. So if you're going to listen to Mozart, I think you should listen to it on a old school vinyl would be best. Let's face it, not everybody can do that, but a CD is better
Yeah. Yeah.
than your MP3. Your MP3 is the worst possible to get the data to go faster on your phone and not have it interrupt, no matter where you are on your phone, not have your music interrupted. They make those pulses, they basically chop stuff up into as big as pieces as they can so you don't get interrupted and it's not smooth.
Mm. That's an interesting point. Yeah. I might add that in my recommendations, like make sure it's, as old school as possible if you can get vinyl, do it.
And now, along the terms of all this topic, do I feel a difference or not? Because some people are not going to feel a difference wearing the silver scrubs, even if it's good for them. They're not that sensitive. I can't hear a tonal difference. The music to me, CD versus vinyl. I'm not audiophile type, but that doesn't mean my body can't tell the difference.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, some people are just not sensitive. They wouldn't know it until, there was like something festering.
Or they're not having the benefit, like walking on the grass. They're not having the benefit.
They may not perceive the benefit. Yeah.
Yeah, they won't receive it. They'll still have the headaches or the stress or the slow healing is the bottom line, even if they don't hear the music different.
You'd be surprised how many people identify with their illness or with that process.
I won't. I'm not actually. So
Some people are not ready to heal, and that's kind of a sad reality.
I have two types of clients in my environmental testing business where I actually test for mold in electromagnetic fields. One type is how do we get rid of this so I can feel better? And the other is, like you mentioned, they start with, I am electromagnetically sensitive.
Mhm.
I'm like, all right, where's this going to end? At least frame it differently. Um, they're owning their illness, and I get it. I get it, but it's not helpful. You can't you can't
I think it's a
budge.
slippery slope. I think it's very dangerous, because we kind of live in this time of identity crisis. They're trying, there's a sort of vayness out there that, kind of wants you confused about who you are, where you come from, what gender what's going on in sort of in
Hmm.
reality, right? That they're trying to push, this 2 + 2 = 5 sort of narrative. And so you want to hold on to something, and people hold on to like hypothyroid, and these I am statements, to your point, are very powerful,
You
you
know,
know.
Christopher Reeves comes to mind. He's in the wheelchair,
Mhm.
and he died in the wheelchair.
Superman, yeah.
Superman. In between, from day one, when he fell off the horse and was paralyzed, he never said, I'm paralyzed. He said, I'm going to walk again. It's basically just a matter of time. It's a sad story because he didn't. A lot of people have with that mindset. Whereas if you just say, I'm trying to think how to put this because I get both sides. I'm sensitive to EMFs. The way I put it to people is, I feel it. Okay, so what? Like, let's move on to how we shield it, a solution. Why are we staying stuck on it's never going to be good enough? It's never going to be good enough. Okay, those are the people you're talking about. Like no matter where I go, I'm just how would you how would you say it better than I'm trying to express it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to, like, like you mentioned, reframe. Where is this coming from? Do you really agree with it? I kind of go to logic 101. Is it true? Is it good? Is it useful to have these thoughts? How do you have you actually checked in? Have you done the mirror test? Have you looked in the mirror and said, I am this? Because does that, maybe that was true, but is it still true? Is it still happening? Is it still, and I look at it from the sense of that everything that the body does is perfect. And we're also master manipulators of the cells and the structures, within us. So we can control that with our language, with our speech, with our thought. And we can purify our thought and language. And even to Christopher Reeves, he may have said it, but did he believe it? There's this other layer of the intention and the belief and the faith of that. And if there is a higher power in your light in your life that guides you, then do you have faith and belief and towards that? And is that what's pushing you? Because maybe you're made in that image, and maybe that's the sort of the guiding light. But I think just having better phrasing is really important, because even if that triggers the mindset and it takes a little bit longer to work on the subconscious.
So for people who are sensitive, I'm not belittling you, by the way. I've never had a hypochondriac client ever, and some of them sound pretty crazy. A better way, I'm going to use perfume fragrance as an example. And people ask me, Daniel, are you sensitive to fragrance? Because like you can smell that too. That's a good way to put it. Just say, I can smell that too, or I can feel that EMF because I am sensitive. It's not okay. And I know you live in a world where it's not bothered by you. How can we get that lower? Or would you mind not washing the sheets in fragrance? Because I do smell them, even though you have a poor sense of smell, and they are bad for you. And can you do this? Can we get it lower? Because there's nothing wrong with having the senses. God gave them to us for a reason. It's just like you're doing, doctor, you're framing. Don't use like don't let it own your senses. Everybody has senses to some degree. We all do. Just focus on the problem and the solution.
I could say that you are special. I am special in the sense that I'm a conduit. There's something that the earth or the universe or God or the world is trying to tell me that I can receive, and I can try to make light of it. And there's something.
You know what I was trying to express is we're speaking of the people who never get well because they own it to like it's never going to be good enough. I'm never not going to be able to go someplace and not have this illness, that kind of thing. I think we beat that one to death.
Well, and it goes internally, like, just to say that you are enough, if this person is enough, and versus like there's some outside thing that has to make them more, to make them better, to make them stronger, smarter, whatever that is. It's like it's actually from within, and if you get
I thought of a
Good.
take mold. Take your example with the mold.
Sure. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was rough.
In this moment, I'm hypersensitive to mold. Mold's not okay. Neither are EMFs and perfume, but we got to live in this world. I want to be able to live in this world. My body is built to detoxify so much. At the moment, I'm sick and my body's not able to detoxify. Even if I smell it, I want to get to a point where my body is functional enough again, whether through the silver scrubs or eating healthy, to where I can live a normal life and not stay sensitive. It's too sensitive.
Yeah, yeah, and kind of mention it as a passing thing, right? This is the moment right now, but it's not a permanent moment. It's not happening forever, and it's not something by which I need to identify in a more permanent.
So, what else you want to talk about in terms of your products, your silver scrub? Where are you taking it in the future? What's going on with it?
Yeah, well, I'm excited to get it out there. Like I said, we're kind of refocusing on getting us a little bit softer fabric. We're really keen on making like a super fit, fashionable product, as well as obviously a very functional product.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's marketing.
Yeah.
You gotta have Taylor Swift one where in concert and go, this protects me from all the EMFs, from all the stuff when I'm doing my show, and gives me a better sound on my microphone or something like that.
Yeah, we're reaching out to some influencers. We're gonna, that's kind of the way it's done these days. There are some good, some awesome nurses that are out there that have nice followings that, kind of love the idea of it. So we're working in partnership, in collaboration with them. And I'll send you some stuff as well if you like. I'll send you a couple of pieces of swag if you want to text me your ad.
Sure. Um, do you have any you want to put on real quick?
Yeah, I could. I got some hats. Yeah, let me put on a hat real quick. I got the scrubs on. So these are the scrubs. I got the silver lining on.
Okay. Oh, I see. You've got them under your shirt.
It is the shirt. Yeah, let's see here. So I got my hat here. So it's
Oh, it looks like a regular baseball
like
cap.
a regular hat. You never would think it
Ah,
was
you'd never
silver.
ever know. It's actually quite stylish.
So we like to make nice things. We're trying, it took us a while to get it together. Been working on it for about 2 years. I like it because literally my head starts to cool down immediately. I feel it's like, oh, why didn't I put this on sooner? It's great in airports. I love it when I'm traveling for sure. I can focus more when I drive to LA. So I'm in San Diego and I often have clients and patients up in LA. So there's a lot of 5G towers, and I'm being a conduit and a a unique person that I can feel it.
Not everybody can see, they're listening. Imagine a regular baseball cap. When he said hat, the old school tinfoil hats, they used to look like someone who was wearing a boat on their head.
Yeah.
Look goofy. And it seemed like it came down to their ears and was just ridiculous. This is cool. You look good.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we wanted to make them stylish, good.
Now, the shirt you said you literally are wearing, it's black.
Yeah, it's black. So yeah, so our uniqueness is that we've blended, the fabric into a scrubs fabric. So it is it's a poly blend, but it is actually made of silver. So it is the
I
shield.
see now.
It is the
That's why
arm.
I was getting so confused earlier when you said you wear it over it.
I used to. I used to. Yeah, so that's kind of where the idea, kind of came from because we were just working on developing some hats because one big thing about our hat is that we have silver in the bill, in the actual bill. None of the other hats on the market do. That we've ripped them all up. None of them have it in the bill, which is going to protect your frontal lobe. I mean, this is your executive function. This is your decision making. So we have extra protection here on the frontal lobe that no one else that I've seen.
Gets me back to the my other question because I hadn't seen the hat yet when I was concerned about, well, what if I wear my I don't wear them, by the way. I will not put an earbud in my ear, a wireless earbud. If you did, wearing your hat like this, your baseball cap, it's not getting trapped because it's completely opened. And it's kind of cool the way just your skull is protected, your brain is protected, basically.
Yeah,
You got the important part locked down.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
bill, you know what's fascinating is I found this in a military handbook on military medicine from the Army in a used bookstore. Turns out your eyes, kind of like a window, aren't shielded. They're very sensitive to the EMFs, the radiation.
Yeah.
So having this bill kind of protects your eyes, like wearing sunglasses. The military's solution was for soldiers to wear sunglasses if they were in high EMF, a lot of exposure for whatever they were doing.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean that was kind of the thinking too. And my eyes are quite sensitive as well to really bright lights and stuff. And I do feel a difference. I mean, I like again, I'm very keen and I'm aware of these things internally and stuff, so I feel it for sure. But it absolutely makes a difference.
It's why your eyes are sensitive when you look at the sun. It's it's an electromagnetic field.
Right, right, totally. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so
Cool.
we added the extra layer here. So that's one of the unique things that we have. We do have the blankets. You can grab a
Show me
blanket.
more. Because it used to be these shields like this were pretty blah, just cloth. So okay, tell me about the blanket.
Yeah, so it's a two-sided blanket, kind of double gray, dark and light, and it's just a big old.
Kind of looks like a one of those fuzzy blankets, except it does need more color. It's gray, literally.
Yeah, yeah. I love to do some more colors, but it's really nice to wrap yourself up in. I mean, it's just very cooling. It feels good. It almost feels like there's this calming of the body and the organs and stuff.
Hmm.
We've had people in conferences just like completely like wrap themselves in a bubble and literally one lady, her pain went away. She had this headache and all this pain on her right side, I believe it
Wow,
was, all the way down to her foot. And she said it went away within 3 minutes of wrapping herself up and wearing the hat. And it was remarkable. And that's kind of, a home run kind of case there, but we see a lot of, calming the nervous system, and how many people are running sympathetic overdrive.
it's great. Good work you're doing. One last question. It's because I used to actually sell those earth mats. This is 25 years ago when this stuff just came out, and you plug it into the ground and it grounds people. I had like two out of five or three people, five, let's say, highly sensitive people. I don't feel better. I feel worse. Yours is a different product application, high frequency, more than earth grounding. What I tell them is, nope. try it. If you didn't like it, don't use it. Everybody feels different. Have you ever had that effect, or if you did, would just tell people the same thing? You know what? It's a complex thing, the electromagnetic field world. Whatever's going on with you, nothing personal. Just don't use it then. Anything, any experience like that, or what would you tell someone who did? Could they?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a few people that are like, I'm not really sure I feel anything or no big deal, but I would say the large majority, even the people who are, they claim not to be sensitive, like, oh, I would never feel that. They put it on and they're like, you know what, holy crap. They get pretty surprised, especially the hat. We had an athlete at one of our conferences 3 months ago. He was like, well, I'm not really that sensitive, but I understand EMFs are everywhere. Let me try the hat, So he tried it. He's like, oh my God, I got to get three of these.
The Cleveland Indians will all be wearing these special hats with the logo, right? And nobody will have the advantage on the field that day.
Yeah, no, it'll be cool. It'll be cool. Yeah, we could put the logos on it. We could do a whole branding, a marketing thing like that as well for whatever logo you wanted. But yeah, I mean, largely, I would say that you're right. I mean, it's a very complex thing, health and wellness, and to the point I think earlier I was making that it's an addition or absolute value of all of the variables. Right. So EMF is one thing. I think it's a big thing because we're literally swimming in it. There's this sort of, soup, this electrosmog sort of soup that we're in. So you got to pick your battles. You're not going to block 100%, but you can definitely feel better wearing the clothing that we make, the hats, the blankets. And when your sleep is better, you're going to recover better. So, even just doing something around your sleep, turning off your Wi-Fi, getting the cell phone pouches or the blankets, anything like that that would just imagine getting 10% or 20% better sleep. How would you function? I mean, it's exponentially, because you're also recovering hormones. One of the biggest, pandemics right now is infertility, right? How many couples and people are struggling to get, pregnant. And on the other side of it, there's a lot more people, kind of doing this dual income, no children sort of, lifestyle where, the
You know,
population
I didn't know.
actually
I
falling.
didn't know that. And one of the way forgotten and misunderstood things about EMFs, while they say it can't, they haven't proved it harms you. They have pretty much proven way back in the day. I can show you where the power company admitted I saved the stuff, so no one can take it
Good for
away with
you.
the
Yeah,
internet.
that stuff ends up disappearing.
Yeah, lens it. Where it was like basically a fact. The only thing we do know is it affects cell division. Cancer from old school hot power lines or whatever, or radios, the police officers with the radar on the lap.
Yeah.
Your doctor, tell me, could the infertility be anything to do with cell division? I mean, I think sperm and the egg, if anything, going together. How does it work? Could that be a fact? Maybe part of the reason why?
There's no question it's a factor. I mean, even in very gross studies where you just put your cell phone on and you're measuring sperm count before and after, it reduces sperm count. If you're looking at motility, the shape and the size, the swimming, the way that the tails swim, it retards the sperm. It absolutely, and they can show that. That's very easily demonstrable. And yet, no one's really saying, hey, don't wear it by your pocket. Don't put it next to your
If I
testicle.
get my honey and I get the large blanket, we go under it and we cuddle and we get, and now, okay, now let's,
You're protected. Yeah, you're protected, and it's really a matter of time because it takes, the life cycle of a sperm to sort of regenerate. So if you can block it for 3 to 4 months, you're going to have, it's about 72 days, I believe, if I remember, if I remember my physiology, it's about 72 to 78 days or so for the sperm to recycle. And, with ovaries, they used to say that you have this sort of set amount of eggs. Well, I know that's not true personally because I've seen follicles increase by doing some of the work that I do, but regardless, yeah, when you're talking about cell division, well, that's the most sensitive areas. And in fact, that's why the testes are outside of the body because even heat, even the body's heat can affect the replication.
you can have a jock strap, or what do they call it? A cup for this.
You could you could have a cup. Yeah, we're working on some underwears as well. We wanted to hit the market from the medical and the scientific standpoint, so we have strong scientific understanding and backing with lab tests, certification. On top of which, too, we didn't talk about, it's also very antimicrobial. Nothing will grow on silver, right? So it's antiviral. So for workers that are exposed to a lot of the COVID and staph and other bacteria and all these things in the hospitals, well, there's going to be less shedding because literally they cannot, culture. We've actually got culture studies where nothing will grow on the silver. They'd run staph and different viruses and bacteria, and nothing will grow on it, right?
Yeah,
So
there's an old school. It's not high woo woo. we used it for our swimming pool in Phoenix. You put silver and copper into the water, and the copper prevents algae, and the silver kills the bacteria instead of
Yeah,
chlorine.
exactly. Yeah, and they actually use it for wound care. They use like silver sprays, and there's nanoparticle silver and all these kinds of things. I use silver sometimes. We work with a lot of
It
cases.
gets taken out of context though, because then people think it's the answer to everything or preventing everything. And no, it's,
You got to be careful with that. It's not the silver bullet, as they say, right? Like it
yeah,
kills all your problems and kills werewolves and
it's
vampires.
certainly better than if you're wearing bare cotton that's, just food for any kind of microbe.
It's stacking the deck in your favor, right? It's wearing the armor that you can, and it's picking your battles because we're exposed to it. And beyond EMF, there's BPA, there's all kinds of microplastics and volatile organic compounds and all these things that are in the environment also affecting hormones and endocrine. So if you start stacking these things, well, yeah, like your testes don't stand a chance.
Hmm.
Your sperm doesn't stand a chance,
Yeah, so quick tip for the infertility. While the woman's going to probably see the doctor frustrated, it's my fault. A man really should be not keeping his cell phone in his pocket, and while he's waiting for your underwear to be put on the market, what else can he be doing to help with that, to limit his exposure to the EMFs, help with the sperm production?
So definitely a cell phone pouch would be a really good one, so you don't have to wear the full body suit. At least you're protecting, from your phone itself. But distance, it's all about distance. So, if you have to put it in your pocket, put it in like a cargo leg pocket or your butt. There's more meat back there. So,
Okay.
typically, or just keep it outside of you. I know it's kind of old fashioned or old school to have those clips, but that's safe.
Honey, sorry, Mr. Call. You told me not to use my phone. It was off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to build up my reserves, for the baby making, and it's distance. So yeah, there's sort of this distance curve that falls off, and once you start getting 6 inches a foot, 2, 3 feet, it really falls off. So
Gives me a reason to go play golf too, because I can say I'm grounding myself, which is also helping with my sperm production, right?
absolutely, yeah, give yourself some breaks. I think, you don't have to have it on all the time. Try to take at least an hour or two a day where you just don't even have your phone on you. You'd be surprised how people don't do that.
When my phone, so I live in a small town, it's an hour to go to the Verizon store, and it was poor service when I went there. So I'm frustrated. What do I do with my phone? When I tried to get a double line on my phone, you probably tried this for your business. I'll get a separate line. All of a sudden, my texting wouldn't work. Just not having texting for 2 weeks. Gosh, the less time I spent on my phone, how good I felt.
Wow.
God, it was absolutely an incredible experience. You can't do it on purpose because you're just gonna, but if you did it, it's amazing. Have you ever done that? Gone without texting for,
I mean, maybe a day or two, but I've got so many
yeah.
patients and stuff. It's,
Hmm.
it would be it may be irresponsible of me to do that. But yeah, I'm trying to program even myself. I mean, it's hard because I work 70 hours a week sometimes, and I've got patients that'll call me, all hours of the day and
Yep.
stuff like that. So it's difficult. But yeah, I'm working and weaving in more time. I don't wear my phone on me all the time, and I do have my scrubs on most of the time, so I'm pretty protected. I put my phone down, always away from me. I toss it if I'm going to be like, passing out or falling asleep. So I try to get it at least about 3 feet from me.
Those
Uh,
scrubs, by the way, people not watching, listening, literally, like I've got a black V-neck t-shirt on, and his scrubs don't look that much different. It looks like a black V-neck, fashionable black V-neck shirt, and it's your scrubs that you go to work in, right?
I do every day. Yeah. Thank you. But I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we work with fashion stylers as well. So we've worked with some pretty good stylists and designers to get our products. And, so we're pretty proud. We're very proud of it.
Nice.
Like I said, we're just refining, we're making the fabric just a touch softer, and we should have that final product in a few weeks and then, be able to deliver it hopefully within the next 2 months. So 45 to 60 days is our goal.
You
But
probably noticed that because you wear it every day.
yeah, I mean, yeah, now it's, once it's actually come down a lot after washes, washing it multiple times. We've washed the crap out of them too. We make sure that they can, sustain 75
I
watt.
hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
A lot of ground testing. Like I said, we did the testing for EMFs. We blocked 99.9 up to 20 gigahertz. Then at like 30, 40, it drops a little bit, like 99.7, something like that. But
Those are space frequencies, right? Is there anything on the ground that goes that high? Or those,
Most everything you're exposed to, it's within 40 gigahertz or less, so the 5G typically is at like the 5.4, 5.6 range or something like that in gigahertz. But again, there's a broad range. There's all these spikes in radio frequency all up and down, and it blocks most all of that. So most everything you're exposed to, it's in the 99.99% protection, which is awesome. I mean, it's even so NASA, I'm not NASA, was it NASA? No, sorry, the Air Force. The Air Force is looking at this as, there's another company that landed a contract for lining some of the shirts and stuff for the Air Force.
back in the day, and we're talking the 70s, at least probably, the Russians, when there was the Cold War, the Russians in the United States, the F-16s, the fighter airplanes, the Russians used to put their stuff in a Faraday cage because they actually designed their aircraft to go old school, analog, and high electromagnetic to avoid to be stealthy for some reason. I can't remember what. But to do that to protect the pilot or to make the stuff work, they had to put the stuff in a Faraday cage.
Yeah, and the Russians have been kind of ahead of the game when it comes to frequencies and sort of like the physics of medicine or biophysics. I mean, they've done a lot of work with the lasers and yeah, so they've been kind of ahead of the curve on some of those things for sure.
I like the way you gone up all the way up to the 90 gig and you say the whole spectrum because I got a text from someone this morning. Can you comment on this? You can protect your phone from 5G. I'm like, so what? The new 5G has two frequencies, one in here and one down here, which is less harmful than before. And you're missing the point. The frequency is going to change next week, month, year. You don't know when because they're not going to tell you. These are engineers. They're not trying to be spooky and stealthy.
And they're not regulated. There's no real regulation to stop them, even if it were harmful. It would take them 25 years to, out.
Here's the ironic thing, and I won't go down that rabbit hole too much. It's not their fault. It's yours. You want to text faster, more data, more movies, and so forth. They're just reacting. It's like as an engineer, it's my job to make sure your call doesn't drop when you try to text a 10 gigabyte movie, and you're mad if I tell you to shrink it to, oh, you can only text a small movie. Why not? When can we text a bit? I'm scrambling to try to figure out how to do it. It's not my fault. Now you're mad because I use a certain frequency? Cut them some slack. It's not like they're the evil villain here.
Right. Well, ostensibly, you're supply and demand, right? So that's just fulfilling the need, you know.
To which same person, you can do this to switch your phone not to use 5G. Great. So now you're just going to use your phone more at the lower radiation in theory, which, is not really true. But let's say you did. It's like a smoker saying, well, I've got low nicotine cigarettes now. You're missing the point. There's no such thing as a good cigarette. There's no such thing as a good low phone or even with the pouch, come to think of it. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I sometimes think people are approaching things from you put it good earlier, avoidance. I think you mentioned, get outside on the grass. Don't use your phone 2 hours a day, stuff like that.
Yeah, and you got to kind of have these little sort of habits, right? That turn into larger habits or that just accumulate the healthy things in your favor. Just like the unhealthy things will add up if you eat a bunch of fried food and you never sleep and you're just kind of you're exposed to all of this processed stuff and chemicals and phone all the time. Well, you're going to have sort of a negative absolute value. But if you eat a couple more vegetables, get some greens juices in, get your bare feet out there, get some sunshine even if it's 5 minutes, right? At the end of the day, consistent with the good is exponentially more than constantly with the bad, if you
So
will.
like even if you're healthy, have a hamburger once in a while.
Yeah, and I think there's something useful to that, right? It's called hormesis, right? There is something to hormesis, and there's the reverse is true
What is
too.
hormesis?
Hormesis is the exposure to a certain amount of stress that causes a positive and
Oh.
a more valuable response. So like working out, when you work out, you break down muscle fiber. You literally are breaking that fiber down and then it rebuilds even bigger, right? That's hormesis. Or like one glass of wine a day is hormesis, right? So it's a little bit of an attack on a little bit of an inflammation for the liver, the gut, the cerebellum. But then your responsiveness is that you actually those people live longer, come to find
It's
out.
kind of like once in a while you got to take the Ferrari out of the garage and drive it.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you gotta stretch your legs out, eat a burger, eat some grease, but because the opposite too, if you all you do is super, super clean, the minute you get exposed to one little thing, it'll wreck you, right? If I went and ate McDonald's right now, I would be wrecked. I mean, I would have really bad gut for a while. It would mess me up because I haven't been exposed to it in so long.
Yeah.
So, not that I would. I don't think that's real food at all. I don't
The same would
that's
happen to me.
plastic.
I've
You
tried
know,
it once and I'm like, oh, but no, not going to happen. Can't finish this.
I mean, food that doesn't degrade and that bacteria won't eat, like I question that for sure.
I've been speaking with Dr. Estrada. His website is silverscrubs.com. Links are in the show notes. Is there anything we haven't talked about, Doctor, that you'd like to add?
Oh man, I think we could go on for many hours here.
Yeah, we could.
I think we covered a lot of the EMF, and I thank you so much for having me on your podcast here, and look forward to the release. And I want to send you some swag so you can try it. Make sure you you can kind of feel the effects of it because we're really proud of it. I think some good things are coming around the next 4 to 6 months once we finalize our fabric. So we'll have likely some other offerings, some underwear, shirts, stuff like that. We're looking at some really cool stuff, and I love the idea that you said with the grounding. Maybe I'll look into that. If there's like a clip or something, they could add an extra layer. I think that would be really cool. Yeah, aside from
Could add it, and then it seems like you're really good with measuring stuff. Could, show me the data kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, and that's where we start. I mean, that's why we did the clinical testing. We're doing the third party certified lab testing as well because we wanted to substantiate and not just say things like, oh yeah, it blocks this, it blocks that. So what it does, and we want to make sure that we back that up. And I think that's really important. There's a lot of, do you know how, interesting fact, the like the little cell phone like stickers and sort of little devices. Do you know how big of
20 years ago it started. Yeah.
you know how big of an industry that is right now?
I'm shocked to tell me.
In the US, it was $1.15 billion last year. It's $1 billion industry, and most of them don't work. I mean, there's no way to quantify it, right? That's a lot.
Even if they did, here's the thought that came to mind because I'm an engineer. I've actually had friends that sold them and good intentions. Let's say it worked, that the headphones are a good example. You put the sticker on the headphones, and because there's a product out there now that says we have a microprocessor, picks up the frequencies and changes them, so puts them back out, you're protected. All you've done now is put earplugs in. So yeah, your ears don't hear it. So let's say you're protected from the electromagnetic fields. The rest of your body is not. And what it's doing is it's like you're not putting your fingers in your ears to block the signal because you can't hear it while you're being bombarded with the sound. That's what the military found with hearing. Eventually, the vibrations get on your bones and they go up to your ears. So your whole body's being affected. Now you just fooled yourself into thinking you're not. Even if it did work, which it doesn't. It's the stickers just plain don't attenuate they don't do it's all extrapolation and twisted information that at the end of the day is a lie in terms of protecting you.
Right. It either harmonizes or deconstructively interferes, which it's very hard to quantify. And if it did, you wouldn't have much of a signal. So I mean, it doesn't stop the.
But you still took it out of context because what you just said is what they say, which makes it sound like our device did that to everything you're exposed to. No, it's no different than I have a little radio, a transistor that picks up the signal, and I transmit a new radio signal. I am adding something new to the soup. I did not just take the whole soup away.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
See what's happening? But they're making you think that because I broadcasted a signal, I now neutralize everything else. No, it doesn't work that way, people. You can't just turn on your radio in your car. You turn it up, people. That's why people have the big boom, the big stereos. I'm going to make myself heard. But you can't, short of that, really, you're just making it noisier. You're just making it noisier.
And it's got its own little, EMF going.
And I'm staggered by that. That's like a billion, same
$1 billion industry. Yeah, I mean, it's wild. It's wild. And no one knows if they work. They're like, well, I don't know why. And you look, everyone's got like some sticker or something.
Oh, so then dive into the studies, and you only have so much time to do this. And I'm an engineer, so I can quickly process information and categorize it in my head like AI logically. If you're not able to do that, you get lost real quick and you believe the studies. If you look at the studies really carefully, doctor, you're probably good at this because you get numbers, you get data, you know frequencies. You'll find if you read real carefully, there's not a black and white, as I'm saying, it got rid of the signal.
Mhm.
A key thing I like to do is say the person felt better, the blood pressure went down. Yeah, it's because you fooled your body. Back to the earplugs. Ears actually attenuate. Your body actually will listen more if it needs to hear the sound or shut down. It's not wide open all the way like you think just because you can put a Q-tip in your ear and it's open all the time. Inside, things are attenuating. Anyway, if you read all the studies really deep, you'll see in the end they paid people. They paid people, and the people they paid gave them what they wanted, and it was highly in language they wanted, uh, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, you won't find it real clear. It got rid of the signal. Got rid of. It can't.
Doesn't, yeah. And I think that's my point on some level is that you can't get rid of it. Even if you got rid of your phone, you're still swimming in it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, in a building, because I've done surveys at schools for cell phones where they're worried about the cell phone being outside, cell phone tower. And I literally walk out the door and the level goes down.
It's amazing how many schools and hospitals are like that. You go in.
Back into the school, I'm like, what is going is the meter wrong? And then with the good meter, you can tune in on the frequencies to the cell phone tower and to the, so, okay, this is from that tower. What's on the tower? These frequencies come back inside. It's going up. Look, what is going on? Like, look around. Yeah. And I thought I told everybody to leave their phone at home when I was coming to do this survey. Do I need to come in on a weekend? Yeah, you need to come back on a weekend. But anywho, why bother? Why bother? It's not making a difference. It's not your problem.
No, and how many people are just exposed, whether they realize it or not, So the effects are happening one way or another.
So good product you're making, service. Love the hat, love the shirt.
Well, thank you so much.
Send me some swag. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, just yeah, give me your address. I'm happy to send you some stuff.
Been talking to Dr. Estrada. His company is silverscrubs.com, apparel, medical apparel, but it's street apparel, really. How come you call it? Oh, because they're scrubs. But the hat is not medical apparel.
No, and so yeah, we actually have the website silverware.com, SLVRWAR. So we're making a shift into that. Because our focus was really from a medical standpoint. We wanted to really substantiate this product, make sure because a lot of people are out there making claims like, okay, well, let's get. And when you look at their testing is from like 8 years ago on some prototype fabric. It's no longer the fabric that they're using right now today. And so we were like, I don't know. There's a lot of, what you were mentioning too, a lot of sort of these false claims, these these overarching statements that aren't necessarily verifiable or just not true in the first place.
Yeah, well, it's like air quality or anything with EMFs. Three ways to attack this. One, you get rid of the source. We can't get rid of the phones and stuff. Two is you filter it, reduce it. That would be your shielding stuff, like an air filter or a shield. Get rid of it or reduce it. What's the new website? SILVER.
It's not up yet. So right now
Okay.
it's Silver Scrubs, SILVER Scrubs, SCRUBS.com. We should be launching maybe in the next 30 days the silverware. So we're kind of differentiating the hats versus the blankets versus the scrubs. But
What will be the website? Will there be a new silverware website?
probably I don't want to get ahead of myself.
I'm typing and putting in the show notes.
I've acquired it. We got to build it.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, so for the meantime, go to silverscrubs.com.
Yes, sir. Silverscrubs.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Estrada. Thanks so much for being on my show. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you, Daniel. A pleasure. We'll have to do it again.
Take care.
All right, take care. Bye.